Hey everyone, Equinoct here, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. Before I begin this video, you could probably tell by the last episode that this game is off to a slow start. Now, I want all the good action-y stuff to happen just as much as the next guy, but the reason that action is so impactful is because we get to know these characters and the quaint lives that they live in this small village. So, when it turns hard. So for now, let's just enjoy the little calm before the storm we have going on here, and however long it takes to get to the really good stuff, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, let's begin. I took it a little too easy on the morning of my day off. I was totally late. And to top it off, that pesky mom of mine pushing a return journey errand on me just as I'm trying to leave the house. Today was the day Rena and Mion were going to show me around Hinamizawa. Rena and Mion were already waiting at the meeting place.
K-chan, 遅いぞ。
悪い悪い。責めるのは夕べの面白かった特番に行ってくれ。
ほう、女の子との待ち合わせに遅刻して言い訳がそれってわけ？
みーちゃんだって今来たばかりなんだよ。
What was that laugh?
夕べの密着24時間面白かったし、ねえ。
She was just as guilty as me. Rena was carrying a pretty heavy-looking handbag. What is that? Mion answered my unspoken question with a wink. That's right. Rena really did make a picnic.
ケイちゃん、あの後レナ大張り切りだったらしいよ。
別に俺がけしかけたわけじゃないだろう。
そんな大変じゃなかったから気にしないでよ。ね。
Aw, Rena's so cute.
夕べから今朝まであのテンションらしいよ。責任取れんの？
わかった。俺も男だ。責任は取る。
責任ってなんだろう。
Oh, isn't that like a phrase in Japan? Something similar at least, like when a girl gets pregnant, the guy will say, I will take responsibility, or something like that? I may be mistaken, but... Like that's why she's getting all flustered. As we both turned around slowly to look at Rena, our gazes drifted downward to the massive handbag she was carrying. It didn't seem logically feasible that it would be entirely filled with lunchboxes. Except that this was Rena we were talking about here.
2キロくらいかな。
レナね、荷物持つときよっこらしょって言ってた。5キロ。
それはオーバー。ケイチくん男の子だからきっといっぱい食べるだろうと思ってたくさんね。
Aw, she's so considerate. And also called us fat.
もう行こう。よっこらよっこ。
Just from the way she was lifting it up, I couldn't believe the only thing in there were lunchboxes.
訂正。俺も5キロ。
手伝いはするけど全部食べるんだからね。レ レナを悲しませたら許さないよ。
The only thing I could do at that moment was exercise a bit to make myself hungrier. Having finished with the pleasantries, we began our leisurely stroll. A carefree walk, bathed in a gentle morning sunlight. I couldn't have ever imagined something so wholesome existing during my time in the city. These were the boonies after all. No slovenly desk jockeys trudging to work on the weekend out here. I'm such a slow reader, I'm sorry. It really was a nice place, peaceful and quiet. As sparsely populated as the village was, you could still run into people just by walking around.
あ、こんにちは。
こんにちは。あら、そちらは。確か、前原くんだったかしら。
My two companions exchanged greetings with everyone we ran across. All these passers-by even knew my name.
なんで俺ってこんなに有名人なんだ？
We passed 3 people, and when all 3 of them knew me, I started to feel a bit paranoid.
悲しいかな。ひなみ沢は人が少ないからね。みんな顔見知りなんだよね。
つまりなんだ？知らない顔が歩いてれば、それは自動的に新しく引っ越してきた前原さんってことになるわけか。
うん、そういうことになるね。
It was a process of elimination you could only pull off in a place like this, but it was quite effective. From now on, I better make sure to maintain a good reputation. The day I'm discovered accidentally gawking at a dirty magazine in the bookstore, I can expect all the villagers labeling me as a leech by the next day. Hinamizawa is not to be trifled with. Ooh, if only you knew. That's not the end of this nightmare.
もちろんわかるよ。最初に会ったのが牧野林店の竹蔵おじさん。趣味は盆栽と尺八なんだよ。
次が乾物屋の次男の大輔くん。趣味は狙撃で、将来の夢は超永久スナイパーだとか。
That's unsettling, but okay.
それで今の人は入江診療所の看護師のミオさん。
Oh. Okay. So we meet Mio, the nurse from the clinic.
趣味は野鳥の観察と撮影だって。
すれ違った全員の名前までわかるのかよ。
Oh, that's interesting. So it's just a name that they threw out, like we didn't officially meet her.
プロフィールまで。
Seeing my surprise, Mion and Rena exchanged looks and burst into laughter.
はあね。ここいらは都会みたいにご近所付き合いが希薄じゃないからね。
試しに聞いてみよう。今ここにいる俺は誰だ？
前原圭一くん。意地悪なこと言うけど、本当は優しいテレ屋さん。
転校してきてようやく3週間。
Only 3 weeks and they're already like really good friends. Enough so to make sexually explicit jokes to each other.
最近トランクス派に転校。
Usually it takes me months to develop a friendship like that.
したよね。
もういいもういい。 それもいい。
Apparently, there's absolutely nothing you can keep hidden here. Hinamizawa was not a place to be trifled with.
これじゃあさ、俺のための案内ってより俺のお披露目みたいだな。
そうだね。うちらさ、これだけ賑やかに練り歩いてたからね。みんな思うんじゃない？ケイちゃんもひなみ沢に馴染んでくれたんだって。
ひなみ沢は過疎だから、村中みんなが新しい仲間を歓迎してくれてるの。
I thought about brushing it off with something to the effect of, "You're kidding me," but I held back. Had I ever greeted someone who just moved into the city like this before? Thinking about that made me believe what they said wasn't a joke at all. We passed another person. Of course, we were called out to it again in the same way.
あら、こんにちは。仲良しそうでいいわね。
藤島さんちのおばさんだよ。こんにちは。
あら、前原くん、両手に花でいいわね。どう？生活はもう慣れた？
Instead of regurgitating a prepared response like I would have in the city, I responded with an emphatic nod. Again, words I've never come across in written form just appears right in front of me, and then I'm like, The old woman chuckled, voicing her appreciation for how energetic I was.
グッド。
As I looked back over to Rena and Mion, they gave me a wink.
でね、そろそろお昼にしないかな。
Rena's brilliant smile signaled the approach of an event that both Mion and I were trying to forget. We both looked at each other.
俺も男だ。努力はする。だが量が多すぎる。
よし、ケイちゃん。ここはおじさんに任せなさい。
Mion has never seemed as reliable as she does right now. I'd expect no less from the class representative.
レナ、どうせ食べるならさ、見晴らしのいいところで食べない？
それいい。賛成。
Rena nodded her head happily in response to Mion's proposal. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, a shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us. It had worn down a bit through the years, but the fallen leaves had been swept up, giving a tidy feeling.
ここはね、古出神社っていうの。多分見晴らしが一番いいところかな。
ここの場所、よく覚えといてね。もうすぐここでお祭りがあるんだから。
へえ、祭りにしちゃちょっと早いシーズンだよな。
綿流しは夏祭りじゃなくてね、昔は冬の終わりを喜ぶお祭りだったらしいよ。
I was embarrassed for assuming that festivals had to be held in the summer.
さて、弁当を広げてと。
Various colored lunchboxes were placed one after the other on top of the plastic sheet. It sure did smell delicious. It was Rena's home cooking. It went without saying that it would be delicious. But is it even possible to finish all of this? Hey Mion, it'll take more than just a good view to get this all down, you know.
こんにちはです。
It was Rika-chan and Sadako. Why are they here? Mion grinned over at me. I see. This was her secret plan, the power in numbers. You have my thanks, Mion. Following up when all the pieces are in place is my specialty.
騒がしいから来てみれば、これは何ですの？
見りゃわかるだろ。これからランチタイムだ。ビュッフェスタイルだ。レラの手作り弁当に舌鼓だ。
そんなの見ればわかるでございますわ。どうして人様の庭でご座なんか広げてますの？
神社は公共の場所だぞ。勝手に独占するな。
圭一の言う通りですよ。みんなのお庭にしますです。
くー、やっぱりリカちゃんはいい子だな。座りな、あそこ。一緒に食べよう。
After opening up a spot for Rika-chan, I promptly turned my back on Sadako.
ちょっとお待ちなさいな。私はどこに座ればいいんですの？
お前に座る場所はないし、食べる分もない。
大丈夫だよ。さとこちゃんの分もちゃんとあるから。
ない。さとこの分も俺がいただく。
そんなことは許せませんの。リカ。はい、お箸です。
Both Sadako and I left at the boxes, having it out with each other.
いやはや、ケイちゃん乗せるのうまいわ、ほんと。才能あるのかもしれない。
はい、お皿。みーちゃんもリカちゃんも。
Rena whipped out pairs of chopsticks and paper plates.
僕たちも頑張らないとなくなってしまうです。
そうだね。よし、参戦と行くかな。
いっぱい食べてね。ちゃんとみんなの分あるから。
Rena said as she opened a thermos. Just then, I realized that this lunch was made under the assumption that 5 people would be eating. It didn't change how much there was, but the implication behind it was different.
ハンバーグは渡しませんわ。
Oh, that's cute.
肘は反則だろう、さとこ。
襟首をつかむのも反則でございます。
It was a tough battle. Blocking with her full momentum and an elbow in the opening move, Sadako appeared to have the upper hand, but the difference in our proficiency with the chopsticks proved to be fatal and gave me the upper hand.
最後のミートボール。
校長さとこ、破れたり。
Sadako and I... That word began choking at the same time, falling backwards and spasming. Rika-chan patted me on the head to clear it, even though it was actually stuck in my throat. Seeing that made Rena blush and breathe heavily in excitement. It was almost like flowers were floating all around her. Mion advised Rena to refrain from saying anything that could get her locked up. This is how our meals usually go. I'd do anything in my power, just so things could stay like this. The intense battle calmed, and finally everyone reached a point where they could begin talking. Receiving tea from the thermos, I let out a small
日
sigh.
本語ってやつはさ、どうしてこう味に対する賛辞が少ないんだろうな。
食事中の団らんって考えがそもそも近代に入ってからだからじゃない？
昔の人は 無言で食事を済ませたそうだし、作る人もちょっぴり寂しかったろうね。きっと昔の人は食べるのに忙しくて味を褒める暇もなかったのですわ。
That's just you.
でもね、美味しいの一言だけでも嬉しいよ。苦労の甲斐があったかなって。
She blushes a little as she said that.
美味しいです。
With absolutely perfect timing, Rika-chan struck Rena directly with praise. She looked straight at her with an expression of bewitching innocence.
Huh?
After Rena uttered an unintelligible noise, a ring of smoke rose from her head with an audible poof.
リカちゃん、お持ち帰りじゃなくて、ありがとう。本当に美味しかったですよ。
Rena flushed red with excitement, embracing Rika-chan and rubbing her cheeks against her so hard you could almost hear it.
リカちゃんには褒めてもらったお礼に、じゃーん、これをサービスね。
Two apple rabbits. After sticking toothpicks into them, she thrust them toward Rika-chan. After Rika-chan accepted them, the mood suddenly shifted in a bizarre way. Huh?
なんだよサトコ、その挑戦的な目は。
皆さんにはレナさんのリンゴを獲得できるだけの賛辞が用意できまして。
強気じゃんよ。ボキャ品のあんたにどんな賛辞が思いつくっての？
ではご覧あそばせ。
After Sadako flashed Mion and me with the defiant look, she changed the tone of her voice suddenly. She gonna act all cute and stuff
あのね、
to get Rena all flustered.
エレナお姉ちゃんのお弁当、サトコも美味しかったよ。
Sadako looked at her proudly while talking cutesy. Yep. What? How was that praise? That's not even persuasion by tears. That's persuasion by cuteness, isn't it? This is a Rena limited special skill. She blushed and her head spun, waving around in circles. Don't fall for it, Rena. Of course, that was asking for the impossible. Rena glanced Sadako and began rubbing her cheeks against her.
かいかい。サトコちゃんもかいよ。お持ち帰り。はう。
Swish, stab, push. Sadako was also presented with apple rabbits. After stuffing them into her mouth, she looked over at Mion and me once again with that defiant gaze. It took only 5 seconds to take down Rena. That's unfair. To think she had such trick.
悔しければレナさんにご褒美がもらえるような賛辞をお考えあそばせ。
Damn it. That was a dirty trick. First of all, that wasn't even praise.
サトコ、それで勝てたつもりとはね。あんたらの底の浅い技とはわけが違うものを見せてあげようじゃない。
Okay, what does Mion got
それは
planned?
頼もしいぜミオ。それはどんな技なんだ？
やるのはケイちゃん。
Okay, she's gonna use Keiichi to swoon her?
見せてもらおうではございませんか。戸島のあがきを。
The plan of attack she suggested was wicked, but it was the only thing we had to beat Sadako. After sipping my tea, I started talking very naturally and calmly. Perfectly.
本当に美味しいよな。これってさ、全部手作りなのかい？
He's gonna turn on the charm.
ううん、実はね、これほとんど冷凍物なの。
じゃあ、レナの手作りのってどれだい？
その恥ずかしいな。教えなきゃダメ？どうしても？
From the synergy of Boy Plus Handmade Lunchbox. Boy Plus. Okay. From the synergy of Boy Plus Handmade Lunchbox, her expression have melted into euphoria.
わかるよ。これでしょ。
Rena turned an even deeper shade of red, the words "I can't believe it" practically written on her face.
なんでわかるかな？レナの手作り。
Of course, Mion had told me beforehand. It's been perfect so far. After acting like I was shy, I waited a beat. Next would be the finisher.
レナの匂いがしたから。
Oh my. Silence enveloped the area. Rena, face still completely red, froze solid. With a small yelp, Sadako also blushed. Of course I did too.
レナの手作りのリンゴのウサギさんが食べたいな、なんて。
Best not to toy with a woman's emotions like that, just saying. Even if this was all because I was competing against Sadako, I felt like I had I felt like I had crossed the line by a good 9 yards, I think. Then, at that moment, whoosh! It was a Tupperware container filled with rabbits.
食べてね、ケイチ君。いっぱいあるんだよ。
Hork! Instantly, dozens of apples were shoved into my mouth, knocking me over. I wish it. I wish there was a CG image of that drawn image of Keiichi like struggling with a bunch of apples in his mouth, like. My head was forcibly laid upon her lap, and even more apples were shoved into my mouth, while she was squealing one apple after another. Was forced into my mouth, more and more apples. How about them apples, Sadako? Looks like we win.
ケイちゃん、殉職見事なり。どうよ、さとこ。うちらの完全勝利だね。
こんな手信じられないですの。悔しくないもん。
Sadako ground her teeth, mortified. We did it. I claimed victory as my consciousness drifted slowly away from me. At that time, Rena stopped her squealing as she suddenly realized something.
リコちゃん、食べないの？塩水強すぎたかな？
Uh-oh. Is Rika gonna pull the ultimate cute move for Rena? Looking over, Rika-chan had pulled the toothpick out of the apple rabbit, placed it into her cupped hands, and seemed to be lost for what to do.
うさぎさんがかわいそうです。助けてあげてほしいです。
Hui. That was the sound of blood spurting from Rena's nose.
かいよ。今夜こそ絶対お持ち帰り。
She shook sporadically, her head wobbling back and forth. Then, coming back to her senses, she took all of the apples around me, gathered them with the whip, and fixed them back up on a plate.
これでみんな寂しくないよね。これリカちゃんにあげるね。
Rika-chan raised up Sadako's hand like a referee having the plate of rabbit shoved to her. She whispered.
僕たちが勝ちましたです。
Yeah, do not underestimate Rika's cuteness.
ああ、やばいよ。
I just don't care anymore. Thus, my sacrifice ended up being in vain. See, I like stuff like this, because none of that was in the anime. This is the first time I'm seeing any of that, and it's adorable. It was a fun-filled, crazy day. But as soon as the sun began to set, the end of the day really did come quickly.
じゃあね、レナにケイちゃん。また明日ね。
ミオ、今日はありがとな。楽しかったぜ。
また明日ね。
Sadako and Rika-chan went home as well. We parted ways with Mion, and it ended up with just Rena and myself enjoying the evening air on our way home.
ケイチくんも今日は付き合ってくれてありがとう。楽しかった？
ああ、楽しかった。まだ家に帰るのが惜しいくらいだぜ。
あ、じゃあさ、ちょっとだけ寄り道してもいいかな？
寄り道？遠いのか？
Is it bad that I want to cosplay as Rena? I don't know, it's just something about that dress with the huge ribbon on both the collar and the back, and the little beret-styled hat. It just all comes together very neatly. It looks very comfortable.
ちょっと歩くけどすぐ済むから。
Since we have been walking around all day, I must have seemed a bit tired. Not feeling like teasing Rena, I quietly nodded. Oh, that's pretty. I love the artwork for the backgrounds. Traversing a small path and up a small hill, the land suddenly stretched out before us. There, what looked like the remains of a displated construction site came into view. A large heap of garbage spread out off towards the swamp. Probably illegal dumping. I recalled it being in the newspaper.
今日は久しぶりだから何かあるかな？何かあるかな？
久しぶりって、レナのようはあのゴミの山かよ。
ゴミじゃないよ。レナにとっては宝の山だもん。
Rena had already entered that well-known cute mode of hers. So that meant there was something cute here?
わあ、新しい山だ。ワクワクワクワク。
She descended the unstable slope with ease. I'd expect no less from a born and bred country girl.
おい待てよ、今行くから。あったたたた。
My city race self was completely pitiful.
いいよ、ケイチ君はそこにいて。すぐ
Rena kindly declined my accompaniment.
転ぶなよ。足元に気をつけろよ。
大丈夫だよ、大丈夫。全然平気。
Literally bounding among the heaps of trash, Rena disappeared from sight. I didn't like being left behind, but I was still pretty tired from the whole day, so I just ended up waiting. Without the lively Rena around, the surrounding area quickly fell into silence. The cry of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. Fairly exhausted, I began to feel a little sleepy. Just then, a sudden noise of scattering pebbles alerted me to somebody's presence. Startled, I turned around. Oh, hey. Standing there was a typical-looking photographer. He spied over at me through his camera. His body was tanned and fit, but something about him seemed unreliable, and he had a bit of an aloof air about him. Well, it didn't seem like he was a bad guy in any case. That's a lot of information to get from someone you literally just met a split second ago.
おっと、びっくりした。
Although startled when I turned around, he overplayed his reaction. That was my line.
驚いたのはこっちですよ。
ごめんごめん。驚かすつもりはなかったんだ。君はひなみ沢の人かい？
I gathered that he wasn't from the question. Unfazed by my suspicious gaze, he forced himself without... he introduced himself without my prompting? Prompting, yeah.
僕は富武。フリーのカメラマンさ。ひなみ沢にはたまに来るんだ。
I didn't ask you who you are.
写真ってのは被写体に断ってから撮るのが礼儀なんじゃないんすかね。
ごめんごめん。メインは野鳥の撮影でね。断った試しがないんだよ。
So what, you're saying I'm the same as birds?
いやいや、夕闇に黄昏れる少年があまりにも絵になっていたんでね。本人の許可を取らずにファインダーを覗いたことを謝るよ。
Adults are pretty slick. All that annoyance I felt for being startled just flew away as he buttered me up. I had no intention of hanging around with this guy trying to get cozy with me, except it didn't seem like Rena would be back soon. But this older guy told me Take-san. He didn't mind my cautious reposes and continued rambling on by himself.
ケイチくん、待たせてごめんね。もう終わりにするから。
Rena popped her head out from one of the lower piles of garbage and waved her hand.
連れがいたのかい？お、彼女はあんなところで何をしているんだい？
That's what I wanted to know.
さあね。昔起こった殺人事件の死体でも探してるんじゃないですか。
Tomitake-san looked shaken up by that for a moment. Uh-oh. I responded like I would if I were talking with Ren and the others.
嫌な事件だったね。まだ見つかってないんだろ？
Ooh.
ケイチくんお待たせ。待ったかな、
馬に蹴られる前に退散するかな。驚かせてすまなかったね、ケイイチ君。
Tomitake-san chortled suggestively, then disappeared into the twilight. Missing my chance to retort put me off a bit.
ケイチくん怒っ
It wasn't Rena's fault, so I decided to just brush it off for now.
どうだった？掘り出し物は見つかったか？
聞いて聞いて。あのね、あったの。ランディ君人形。
ランディ君人形ってあれか？ファーストフードの店の前に必ず置いてあるあの等身大人形の？
Colonel Randy.
そうランディ君。かわいい。お持ち帰りしたい。
I couldn't tell how she decides what's cute or not, but, well, she seems to want it.
あれはゴミだろ。お持ち帰りしたきゃしてもいいんだぜ。
他の山の下敷きになってるの。簡単には掘り出せないし、あそこ明かりがないからすぐ暗くなっちゃうし。
Rena seemed quite down about finding treasure and not being able to bring it back.
俺も手伝ってやるよ。今日のうまかった弁当の恩返しってことでさ。
ありがとう。
Birds heading home to roost proclaimed the nightfall would soon be upon us.
ケイチ君が手伝ってくれる。ランディ君をお持ち帰りできる。
Rena staggered along as if intoxicated in her dreamy state of mind. I tried asking her in a way that wouldn't take her out of her cheery state.
なあレナ、あそこで昔なんかあったのか？
ダムの工事をやってたんだってね。詳しく知らないけど。
例えばさ、工事中になんかあったとか、事故とか。
知らない。
Her tone was disturbingly frank. It sounded more like a denial than an answer. I must have appeared rather dumbstruck. Rena quickly lightened her expression.
実はね、去年までよそに住んでたの。
え、レナも転校生だったのか？俺はてっきり。
だからね、それ以前のことはよく知らないの。ごめんね。
Don't really know. Don't want to talk about it. That was the kind of feeling she gave me. Thinking about it, of course it would be like that. This wasn't the type of thing girls would enjoy talking about. I don't know about that. Like, I know a few girls who are all about murder mysteries and horror documentaries and all that. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it's just like Tomitake-san said, then I had a feeling only the Higurashi would know. Ooh, okay. So, little bit of story got going on here. A mystery, one might say. The Damn Site Murder Dismemberment Newspaper Edition. Okay. From the June XX 1979 edition. The Shishibone City Okinomiya Police Station. Late at night. Suspects were arrested on suspicion of murder and improper disposal of a corpse. The main offender has been added to wanted list nationwide. According to our sources, the 6 suspects were at the Hinamizawa Dam construction site workroom on the X at 9 p.m., where they are suspected to have assaulted and murdered the site overseer as a group, dismembering his body and hiding it. At 8 o'clock in the morning, a report was filed by the Shishibone City Hospital in which a male suspect alluded to have murdered Mr. When questioned at the police station, the individual confessed to the crime. Since a portion of the body was recovered at the location he gave, he was arrested that afternoon on suspicion of murder and mutilation of a corpse. The rest of the suspects were arrested the same day, but the main culprit is still at large. Police are currently on his trail. The motive is purported to be a drunken verbal dispute during which he killed the victim in a fit of anger. However, as there are multiple inconsistencies with their testimonies, the investigation is ongoing. Okay, so Rena was acting a little weird when Keiichi asked if something happened at that garbage place. And, she said she didn't know, but she said it in a very weird way. And here we have a newspaper saying that there was a murder at a dam site, a construction site. That is very interesting, I must say. As far as the tips go, I read the tips in the last video, but they were very uninteresting, and I made a lot of grammatical errors in my reading, so I just cut out that footage. So I'm gonna play through every episode and read the tips at the end, and if the tips are something good, like that dam construction murder paper, I will leave it in, and if it's not good, like just medial information, then I'll just cut it out. If you really want to know what those tips say, I would recommend getting this game yourself. It is very fun, and it's available on Steam. The first chapter currently is free for download. But yeah, I'm gonna continue playing as I see fit. Like, just try my best at reading everything I can. And if I make a mistake, I am very sorry, but I am learning as I go. I'm not giving up on that. And I will try to make it as interesting as possible. But until next time, thank you all for tuning in and watching. Still pretty slow, but I enjoy the slowness to it, like how adorable the friends act with each other, and I did like the CG drawing of Keiichi and Sadako, like trying to combat each other while they're eating. It was adorable. But yeah, like I said, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Later.